To unpack all the details for us regarding this story. Abra, a very good afternoon to you. Do tell us about some of the findings of the report. I mean, did it mention any unions that were fingered as having been behind the scandal?
Alicia, good afternoon. First of all, when it comes to the findings, what's very interesting, it's called the Jobs for Cash scandal. But the task team actually discovered that there wasn't actually an exchange of money in the bulk of the cases. Yes, there were a few incidents where money was exchanged, but largely there was definitely underhanded work at play, definitely underhanded appointments, but there was not always an exchange of cash. So obviously, these appointments were made and, there were favors done in return or whatever. But we call it the Jobs for Cash scandal, but the bulk of it, like I said, there was not actually an exchange of cash. The other findings is that along the way, the task team actually found a whole bunch of inconsistencies and irregularities within the whole system. And one of the things they discovered is the way that teachers are being appointed, it's not necessarily the best way for the school and for the kids, for the learners as well. So among the recommendations that they suggested is that we relook the way that we make appointments. The other findings were, yes, some of the cases there was definitely foul play at work, definitely fraud, and those cases have not yet been handed over to the SABC, but they want the education minister, the basic education minister, to liaise with her counterpart in the SABC, and then they were going to take it from there. So that's what happened in terms of the findings. You asked me about the union. Essentially what the task team said is that at schools where the authorities are weak, and obviously they're referring to principals, at those schools, they find there's a gap for unscrupulous union members to come in and then to act outside of their mandate. So the unions were very involved in the investigation. I spoke to SATU earlier on. They said that they had no problem being part of the investigation. The unions were definitely part of the investigation. And they say that while they, and I'm only referring to SATU now, while they condemn the scandal, they are basically distancing themselves from any of their members if any of their members are found to be guilty. Alicia?
Now, Abra, look, the investigation highlights a bigger issue. Do speak to us about that. I mean, pupils are the biggest victims here when it comes to the issue of quality education.
In fact, the chairperson of the task team, Professor Formonk, who is an educational specialist, he came out, you heard the soundbite there. It was probably one of the strongest soundbites that came out of the committee today, because at the end of the day, you have to remember that the commodity we are talking about here is education, and the people we are educating are the most vulnerable people in our society, the kids. And with a weak education system, our kids are the ones who are going to be suffering the most. And if the right people are not put into the right positions in terms of educators, if we don't have the right principals, if we don't have the right teachers on board, if we don't have people who are properly qualified and educated to be educators, then it leaves a lot to be desired for the kind of education our kids are going to be getting. So it is a very serious matter. And while we are investigating everything on the side, at the end of the day, it's the kids who are suffering the most, because the quality of what they are being fed, that needs to be taken into account, because they're the ones who, they can suffer the legacy of that at the end of the day.
Very quickly, Abra, no, we're running out of time. You spoke about recommendations earlier. So what happens now going forward? What are the likely consequences that are to be faced?
The recommendations have not been implemented just yet. The department and the task team first wants to get advice from their legal minds before they actually implement. Like I said, there are recommendations that the more serious cases get handed over to SABC, and the committee is asked to report back once implementations happen, and then it's going to invite the department, the minister, the unions, as well as school governing bodies to come and report back to the committee.
Thank you for that update. Abra Barbier on the line to us from Cape Town with a wrap of the Cash for Jobs scandal reports.